Okay. So
Okay. Well,
the
thank
floor
you
is
for that
yours.
introduction, Charity, and thank you so much to Think Africa for having me. It's good that you mentioned that it was recorded and that people can keep their cameras off because that didn't occur to me that people might not want to be seen on YouTube. So good to say that because I was about to say, everyone turn your cameras on. But Yeah, my name is Hope. I'm also here joined with someone who's involved with MIELI Without Borders, who's going to be here supporting me and doing a bit of exercise with us later today. So you'll get to know her. Her name is Eliza. She has like leaves in the back as well as you can see on her screen. So she will also introduce herself in just one moment. Um, yeah, actually, go ahead, Eliza, before I jump into the presentation.
All right. Hello. Nice to be in Africa tonight. I wish I actually was. I have been working in the field of leadership and learning and development for over 25 years now. And my passion is about creating experiences where people can grow and develop. And I'm now training to become a psychotherapist. So really going deeper in the field of mental health. So yeah, you'll see me, I think, tw or hear me twice in the workshop, or I might jump in when Hope invites me or when I feel the urge. All right, speak to you soon.
Thank you, Eliza. Okay, I'm going to share my screen and go ahead and I'm going to go like this. Can everyone see? It says like, it looks like I'm about to present. Yeah, can everyone see my screen? It says
No,
fostering well-being. You
no, we
can't see
can't
it.
see anything anymore. Yeah,
Hmm.
no, not yet.
Okay, 1 second. Let's go back. And I'm just gonna do screens, aren't I? Here we go. Okay,
Yeah. Okay.
let's see. What about now? You can see it okay now?
Something's coming up,
Something
but
is
I
coming
only
up,
see,
but
yeah,
not
only
yet.
some kind of a white, just a white piece.
It looks like a white strip.
Hmm.
Hmm.
There.
And
Yep.
now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. Good, good, good. Okay, perfect. So Eliza is going to be putting some links in the chats. She's already going to put in a link for a Google form if you want to already take a look at that. And also later on some other links. So keep an eye on the chat as well, because I'll have some QR codes on the screen. But if you want to do it on your own or on your laptop, open it up. But there is one, if you could share, Eliza, the Google Forms, that if you want to do it while I'm talking or in advance, we will have a moment for you to fill this out at some point in the presentation. So feel free to fill it out in advance and you can let me know. But anyway, let's get started. MIELI Without Borders, Fostering Wellbeing, Tools for Balance and Resilience. So I just kind of want to do a little, well, what we're going to be doing today. A quick introduction to MIELI Without Borders, what we do, what is mental health from around the world, a grounding exercise, coping skills, the 3 M's, mental health resources, and a Q&A. I know it looks like a lot, but I promise we will get through it. So, MIELI Without Borders is a grassroots organization that aims to destigmatize and spread awareness about migrant mental health through community action in Finland. And what that means is that, well, first of all, grassroots, as in that everything that we do comes from the people that are involved in our organization. So if our members, if our community people, if our volunteers say, hey, we want to, start a football club to support our well-being, we'll be like, yes, okay, that sounds great. If they're like, we want to be into arts and creativity and do a painting class, we're like, okay, that sounds good. So the activities that we do come from those who are involved. Um, I was one of the founding members 3 years ago now in 2022. And we are entirely volunteer run. So we're unfunded, and all the things that we do are done by the board and by other volunteers and passionate people like Eliza. We, above all, are a community that welcomes all, regardless of language, nationality, ethnicity, religion, gender, or sexual orientation. And I'm sure I can add more to that list. But yeah, I think maybe if you're not so familiar with MIELI Without Borders, we are a member organization of the larger MIELI. MIELI is our like parent organization, and they operate through 54 of their member organizations across Finland. So we are just one of the 54. That's why the branding might look kind of similar, because it's the logo is quite similar. The MIELI Without Borders, it's linked to our parent organization, but we are a separate entity. And we're the only organization operating through MIELI operating in a language other than Finnish and Swedish. Does anyone feel free also to open up your mics if you have any questions, or if anything I say is confusing, or maybe I'm talking too fast. That is a problem I have. So please let me know, and don't be afraid to interrupt me. So a quick check-in. How are you feeling today? You can just say, either open up your mic and say which number according to the horse faces that you feel, or you can write it in the chat and maybe Eliza or Charity can read it out to me. I'd say I'm feeling a little bit like maybe number 3.
I'm not sure what the 7 is representing, but I kind of feel like that. We have another 7. We have an 8 as well. And we
Oh, 8
have,
is cute.
yeah, and we have a 4.
Okay, very
A
good.
1. Someone's, I think it's a laughing one, or I'm not sure what. 1, and then another 4 and another 7.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, good. Just to gauge how we're doing. So we're a little bit of a spectrum. I don't think I said anything about me, but maybe I can quickly just say, as I mentioned, I'm a founding member of MIELI Without Borders. I'm a licensed socionomi, or like sociologist in social services worker in Finland. And I'm passionate about mental health, especially how immigrant integration affects mental health and well-being. Okay, moving on. So this is where you're going to need your either phones, or open up, if you're on your laptops, then open up another tab. And Eliza has shared this link in the chat just now, I think.
Yeah, it is, what is it? Flinga.fi.
Flinga, yeah.
Yes, so
So
it's there in the chat.
if you could go to this link, and also go to the QR code, and I'll give you just a moment before I then go to the next screen so you can see it.
And am I right to say that nobody will see who is writing what? It's anonymous. Is that
Yeah,
correct? Hope. Yeah,
so yeah, that is correct. So we
good.
have hold on, let me quickly, how do I exit this? Like, there we go. Yeah. Oh, okay, so it looks like someone's already writing, but I just want to let you know that this is an anonymous platform. So I kind of want to gauge how everyone feels about the term mental health. What comes to mind? What do you think of? What sort of feelings does it invoke? If you're not sure how to write, you can come, it might look different on your phone, but you can come here, you can select like a text, subtitle, a person, a square, you can go like this, and you could be like you can type your answer here, and then you can send it, and it can come up like this as well. So you don't necessarily have to draw if you don't want to. Let's see if anyone else has written. I have no idea what this person is writing, how to. But if you're struggling to write on this kind of platform, there you go. Wellness. You can also reselect your color too. I am something you think about all the time. Life balance, natural balance. I see, I can read balance, I can read tenne, which I don't think it's spelled right. Oh, I'm not sure what this says. Physical, okay. Does anyone feel uncomfortable with the topic, or do they feel a taboo or a stigma related to this, the term mental health? Maybe it's trendy. I also think like it makes me think of therapy or mental illness as well. Yeah, it looks like other than maybe the the text, I see that we have like a little bit of a maybe holistic understanding of um of mental health rather than me trying to provoke you into saying something else. But let's go back here and thank you for answering. It's good to just gauge also where you're at and how you feel about the term mental health, as many times mental health can provoke maybe like a uncomfortable feeling, or that it's taboo in your culture or language or whatever it is. But moving on, so according to the World Health Organization and also mentalhealthorg.com, mental health is so these four elements that you can work and learn productively, if contribute to community and society, cope with everyday stress of life, and realize one's own potential. And each one of these, categories are highly individual. So, what work and learning productively means to one person doesn't necessarily mean the same to others. Um, Maybe this is a good chance if people are willing to open their mics. How do you feel about this definition? Do you think it's complete? Don't be shy. Does anyone want to write it in the chat? Any comments that they have about this definition? Do they think it's Do you think it's comprehensive? Okay, no worries. Well, I think at least I take a little bit of issue with the definition, and mostly because psychology and psychiatry are the sort of birthplace of the term like mental health. And even though that's mental health is many things, but mental health is mostly framed within psychiatry and psychology, which is a Western concept and a Western sort of science that has only studied a specific type of people and doesn't necessarily encompass the diversity of our world. So sometimes I think the mental health term can be very destigmatizing and be very taboo. And talking about it can, especially with your own families or in your own cultures or communities, can bring about shame or fear or maybe an understanding that maybe there's something wrong with you or something like this. But mental health is not these things. It's not the presence of a disease necessarily. It is just health. But we'll get into that a little bit, a little discussion point later. Here's also some examples of mental health from around the world. As I mentioned, that the term mental health kind of comes from Western psychology and psychiatry, and that might not always fit for various cultures from around the world. And mental health, there is no universal definition. So different cultures and different languages understand and express the term mental health or well-being differently. So over here we have Japan, ikigai. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this term. It's sort of the study or the pursuit of finding purpose and ways so that you promote wholeness and well-being. In South African, Ubuntu philosophy is about the community that you are. I am because we are, that there's less emphasis on the individual and the individual's mental health, but that well-being is only existent because of your connection to community. India and the Ayurvedic and yoga community, mental health is a balance between the mind, the body, and the spirit. And when those are out of balance, then you have a sort of like mental unwellness, or you're not your whole being. Through Tibetan culture, through the Buddhist or mindfulness and compassion, mental health is cultivated through meditation, self-compassion, and detachment from suffering. And this detachment from suffering is really like a perspective or a way of thinking or being that you need to, all the suffering that you experience in life, sadness or frustration, is because you're too attached to those things. So it's this sort of thought that you remove yourself from the attachment and you can just appreciate things for just as they are. Scandinavian, I think that this word is actually Norwegian, but I need to double check. The belief that spending time in nature fosters resilience and well-being. And in one maybe northern indigenous culture in North America, that's more connection to land and nature is central to the well-being. So, if there's oil rig digging and fracking happening, then it is an indication that those in the tribe of those who are living the land are unwell as well, because the land is also unwell. Does anyone have any comments, questions, concerns at this point?
I can just maybe comment. I think it's really interesting to see this kind of wider picture. And we can see that in so many cultures, the importance of nature and the importance of community as well. And a bit of a maybe criticism of like early psychology or early therapy, which was all about the mind and the thoughts, and now a lot has evolved, and we're taking the body into account and the environment, the community, the relationships as well. But it has come really far. The field of mental health, especially the Western approach, has been so individual and so much up there, kind of nearly disconnected from the body and definitely disconnected from the nature. So it's nice to see that, we're reconnecting to the wisdom that so many people have always had. So it gives hope.
Thanks, Eliza. That is a good observation. I also had read a study recently when I was doing some of the research about these different and various forms of mental health, expressions of mental health and well-being around the world. And it was, I think, a study, it was in the US, it was a university study about the way that patients report symptoms that are related to mental health. And they found that there was minority groups, especially like immigrant background, in this area, that they reported their symptoms as more physical symptoms. So things like headaches or shoulder pain or stomach pain or uneasiness, whereas other people who maybe were more comfortable, or I don't know what's the right word, then there was those who were reported, oh, I'm depressed or I'm anxious. But oftentimes when your culture reflects maybe a negative connotation around the word mental or mental health, or is not as or doesn't view sort of like therapy or these mental illnesses as, or distresses as a positive thing or a regular health thing, then they would describe symptoms related to mental health through the physical symptoms.
Yes,
So
really
that is really
interesting. Yeah, and especially as we know that every emotion has a physical reaction as well. So it makes a lot of sense to speak about the body. Some people recognize their emotions in their body. Yeah, just what you said. Good. I'll let you continue.
Thanks. But I think this kind of leads me to the point that we are making, that mental health is health. That it's maybe before in early years it was hard to, it was said that mental is separate, or and your body is separate, and these are two different entities. And you, I think especially sometimes when you go to health stations or seek medical care, they are not treated as that one affects the other. But it is, mental health is health. We all have it. We all have mental health. We all have mm, poor mental health sometimes, good mental health other times, but the mental health exists for all and it is health. Um, Before we move on, I'm going to stop right here and just ask, does anyone at this point have any comments, questions, disagreements? Do you disagree with anything I've said? How about Johanna, Feven, Eob? Anything you want to add at this point?
Nothing to add.
Okay.
I agree with what you say so far.
Okay, great. This next part, no comment. We are learning. Thanks, Wende. And this next part is going to be a bit of a guided part. So if you, I'm going to give it over to Eliza, but she's going to give you some instructions. It's going to take about 3 to 5 minutes. But I think you maybe have to pay attention for or focused if you're able to at this time. So Eliza, go ahead, and I will just close my mic.
And I will open mine. All right. So is that, what do we see on the screen? We don't need that yet. Yes. So you can just focus on what I'm going to share with you, and there's no screen to basically look at. So this is a grounding activity, and it's something that you can do very easily anywhere you are. Whenever you feel that you are in some kind of a storm. So the idea is to drop anchor. Just imagine that you are a boat and you're being rocked by waves, big waves. And you know that might happen. It might happen in the course of a day, or it might happen regularly, or it might be something that happens to you very seldom, but still when it happens, the storm comes and you feel kind of overwhelmed by all these waves coming. And the idea is to drop anchor. And when a ship drop anchors, then it means that the waves won't stop, the storm will still be there, but the boat will not go into the rocks or won't be thrown into some kind of a dangerous thing. So the idea is to weather the storm and in a safe space. So it's got 3 different parts. You can follow me if you're sitting, which probably you all are. Try to now feel your feet on the ground. So plant your feet, and maybe by doing that, your back is going to maybe a little bit straighten. So don't be rigid, but just feel that there is some kind of an energy from the top of your head all the way to your feet, even if you are sitting. And the first part is to kind of acknowledge. So if you want, you can close your eyes anyway, you don't have the camera, or lower your gaze, but the idea is to kind of look inside and just acknowledge what kind of thoughts and what kind of emotions do you have at the moment. So what thoughts, we always have thoughts running around our heads. So if you can just observe, take a tiny bit of distance as if you were kind of sitting just behind you, just on top of your mind, and you could see inside, and what kind of thoughts would you see there? And you can just try to observe them. And then there might be some emotions as well that are showing up, and just observe them. So it might even be some kind of a tiredness, or it can be curiosity, or it might be sadness, who knows? Just try to observe the emotions. I'm going to shut up for just a little bit and try to have this observer posture, thoughts and emotions. So it's as if you were kind of looking at the storm and kind of looking at the waves and just observing the waves. Oh, that's a big wave, or that wave is actually beautiful. And you know that they cannot hurt you. They are thoughts and emotions. And then the second part is kind of to center into your body. So we're going to now try to feel our feet on the ground. And if you press the right foot, press the right foot into the ground as if you were trying to kind of dig a hole into the ground. So press it very, very firmly, just the right foot. And then you might feel in your leg all your muscles are kind of engaging, and might go all the way to your stomach muscles as well when you're pressing. And you might even try to kind of your bust kind of going a little bit in front as well. So feel your body like that, the right side of your body pressing. And now release. And then do the same with your left side, and press your left foot as much as you can. Feel your muscles tensing inside your leg, stomach muscle, and then release. And then we can do just one more thing, which would be just kind of taking your arms, maybe crossing your fingers like that, and then putting your, I can't really see with my background, putting your hands above your head and try to stretch your shoulders to release a little bit of tension. All right, that's kind of connecting with the body. And then open your eyes if your eyes were closed. And now look around you and try to see around you everything that is blue, color blue. Just look and notice around you everything that is blue. All right. And that's it. That's a grounding activity that you can learn to do. You can do that anywhere. You can do that in the metro. You can do that in the middle of a meeting. Nobody will know that you're doing that. So whenever you feel that you are kind of a bit overwhelmed or in this kind of a storm, just take literally 2 minutes. You can even, when you practice, you can do it in 30 seconds. I'll say again, notice your thoughts and emotions. It takes a few seconds. Then ground in your body. The simplest thing, take a deep breath, 2 or 3 deep breaths. That's enough. Or press your feet into the ground. And last thing, connect to your environment. So remind yourself that you are here, there, and there's things around you. Because when we're in a storm, we can be kind of completely absorbed what is happening in our mind. And so that can help. All right. I hope that
Thank you
helped a
so
little
much,
bit.
Eliza.
You're welcome.
Could you maybe say how does this help? About what sort of situations you said in a meeting or whatever, but how does this
Yeah. So
benefit us?
exactly. So it can be any time. So let's say you're in a meeting and you're just about to give a presentation and you're feeling that, anxiety is coming up and you really don't want to start to be talking in front of everybody. And you feel that, okay, you need to ground yourself. So you want to kind of recenter yourself. That's when you could do that. A couple of deep breaths or just press your feet into the ground, connect as well to your body, and then start by acknowledging I am anxious about, or I am having the thought that I am anxious about speaking in front of the group. That is just, it can be also something in your kind of family life. So maybe you have a small kid and they are fussing just before bedtime, and you feel this kind of emotions or thoughts like coming up, and you want to again grow yourself, not be swept away by the storm. So there you could do it as well. So it's something that you can do anytime you feel this kind of storm building up and you want to ground yourself.
Thank you, Eliza. That was really helpful. I will try to remember to do this week. I think every day I have a storm. I don't know about if you were able to participate, those who are listening in. Also, welcome, Katya. Sorry, we were like in the middle of a grounding exercise when you joined, so I imagine it seemed a little bit strange. But from here, I kind of want to know, before we move on, I sort of want to know, how are you feeling now after that grounding exercise? You can just write in one word in the chat. Better, worse, good, calm, overwhelmed. A little better. Well, it's good to hear, Eob. Okay, now also feels good, but what's the link with the blue color? Ah, that's a good question. Maybe that is for Eliza. Like, why did we focus on the blue? Yeah, just unmute yourself, Eliza, so you can answer
There we go.
Fevin.
Yes, yes, yes. All
Yeah.
right. So that's a good one. So basically anything that is easy for you to connect. So to connect to where you are, to the here and now and the environment. So I like to play with colors, and it can be any color you like. But it can be also, I don't know if you're familiar with these kind of look at, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. That's another way to kind of connect to the here and now. Or it can
So
be
is it
very
supposed to, sorry,
yeah,
Eliza, is it supposed to then connect you that you're not that to your environment,
yeah,
so that you're not
exactly.
like, if you're feeling overwhelmed or anxious,
Yeah,
for example, so that you're not like, I think you
yeah,
did say this, like in your
yes.
head, but instead you're paying attention to what's around you.
Exactly, exactly. It can
Okay.
be something as simple as, what are all the sounds that I can hear right now? So imagine you're in the metro, you're just coming back from work and you want to ground yourself. And just so it's the idea of kind of taking the observer position and noticing, what can I hear? I can hear people talking next to me. I can hear the metro arriving. Maybe there's a bit of music. Maybe, somebody's eating next to me. I can hear them munch. And just to connect and slow down the mind so that you can take a breath and ground yourself.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eliza. That was really helpful. So this next thing is, I think I had mentioned at the beginning that we're going to have like a Google form or some participation behind the scenes. So Eliza, if you could put in again the Google form link into the chat. There's also the QR code on the screen, and it's gonna open up to a Google form that shows what do you do when things are hard or you feel overwhelmed, and then there's these different categories, and then you can select one or more and then submit. And then Eliza will be checking the results so we can see that as well. Thank you, Eliza, for putting the form there.
So again, it's anonymous. So,
Yeah.
and this is just for you kind of to hold a mirror and just see where you are at. There's no good or bad answers. This is for you to just recognize what are the kind of coping skills that you usually use. Again, there's no bad answer. And hope we can see your answers. You're
Yeah,
sharing the
that
screen.
was that was
Good.
intentional so that you
Good.
could see how I'm doing it. Like
Okay.
I'm just showing the like form and also that I'm filling it out at the same time. These are just my,
But for some reason, it requires access.
does it?
Or maybe it's it for me.
Okay, let me check on these settings.
Yeah, same for me.
Same for you. Okay, one moment. Well, at least you can all see what I'm doing. You can see how I'm dealing with my stress.
Try this one then. Let me know if you're in.
It says that we need to request access.
Do you want to try again, Eliza? If not, we can give up on this and it's okay. We can move on.
Try again. No?
Oh, it's working.
Now it's
Oh,
working.
good.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I think it doesn't take very long, maybe 30 seconds to fill out. So we'll give you guys a couple of moments. Just maybe put like a thumbs up in the chat when you finished.
I will see. Yeah.
I think I've heard 2 responses come in, right? Was that your email?
I don't. I have only your response.
Okay.
There. I've got another one. I've got 2 now.
Wish I could play like elevator music.
Mm-hmm.
I should just like have drums here, like
Yeah,
while there's
true.
moments of like people, filling forms. So maybe Charity wants to sing.
I've got 5. Should I take over and share my screen just so that people can see?
Sure.
So
Yeah,
it's
I'll
it's
stop sharing.
easier. Yeah, just very quickly. I think it's nice to see very quickly. There we go. So you can see the 6
Yeah.
responses. Yeah. So quite many people say I relax and recover. And
And I sleep.
jogging, sleep, that's really good. And breathing exercise, that's very helpful. Intellectual, lots of people search for more information. That's not surprising because you're here tonight, so you're always
Yeah.
searching for information. Write things down, make lists, make plans. Interesting. And here I quiet down, meditate or pray for people. It's
I wish
great.
I wish thinking about the meaning of life brought me like peace, but it just makes me more stressed, I think. This is not something I would want to do. But I commend whoever has like does this. I think that's really beautiful.
That is. That is really, yeah. And creative. Wow, lots of different strategies and mostly, I think, positively.
Yeah.
It's definitely something that we hear in our culture, like, well, around, like, think positive. Listen to myself. And then nobody makes podcasts or make TikTok videos.
Not as a way to unwind or
To
to
unwind,
de-stress.
yeah, no, it might be actually stressing. Um,
Oh, lots of
and
people express their emotions in
yeah,
different ways.
yeah, dancing, playing music, writing, painting. It's wonderful. And laugh and cry,
Yeah.
showing the emotions. That's a skill, definitely. Sometimes we need to relearn how to do that. Every kid knows how to do that, but adults not so easy. All right, spend time with a friend, support others and accept support.
It looks like this group is very social, and also is it looks like there was intellectual ways and then also physiological, like the resting and relaxation.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. This is really
Thank you.
insightful to see like how everybody is responding. Okay, so thank you guys for answering. That was lovely, and it kind of is a good segue into the next part. So I have my screen, but the images of everyone is on the top. Does it block the screen? Can you see like the whole screen, or do you see also the photos?
I think we can see the whole screen. Everything is
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so there's I don't have are any is anyone familiar with this poster? You sometimes see it like in health stations or in like places where you get services. It's from MIELI, and they've created this sort of like this coping skills poster, but I've sort of cut the poster in half so you see it in two slides. And it's essentially all the things that you already answered, that it goes through these different categories of like physiological. It divides coping skills into these categories of physiological, intellectual, spiritual. And then we also see creative, emotional, and social. Now, this isn't like a complete list of all the coping skills that exist. I think we could also think of negative coping skills, the binge eating your favorite candy when something's really stressful, or eating, in the night. Or we can think about like doom scrolling like on TikTok or on Instagram, like over and over and over again, trying to relax, but it's maybe not making you relaxed. I think we can think about these type of coping mechanisms. So there's no right way necessarily to cope with things, but it's good. And I really like this coping skills poster because it always gives me new ideas and ways, like the potential ways that I have to deal with things. So I notice myself, I'm quite intellectual, a physiological coper, and then, as I mentioned, also maybe social and creative. And I notice a lot of you are too, as I saw like similar answers in some of the things. But I think it's good to know how many methods there are for dealing with stress, for coping with everyday life. That I think, when you get in the habit of doing something like, okay, when I'm stressed, maybe I'll go for a walk, or when I'm stressed, I just might want to scroll on my phone, and you're maybe not relaxing, but it's better than nothing. I think sometimes I forget that there's other skills at my disposal, that there's other ways that we can deal with stress. You just have to try the ones that work for you. Maybe I pause here to like wait for comments or questions, and also Eliza, if you have anything to add here.
Yeah, no, I think it was interesting that you said like coping skills. It's basically our way of finding relief, and relief can be short term or long term. And sometimes the short term relief might lead us to kind of more trouble. So I hope we're talking about, short-term relief. Look at your phone. That's a very quick short-term relief that we do very often. Everybody does that. Or if you don't, then you are very unique. It can be, just looking at your phone. It can be looking at your emails. It can be looking at the news, looking into anything basically. But it is to release, to find some release, and it can be also, anything that you do um, can, I was just looking at making lists as well. It's funny that it's there. It can be a release, a coping skill, as in like help you to kind of externalize your thoughts and kind of prioritize, etc. But for some people, if you start to make lists like a lot, and then you have a lot of lists, then that is a coping skill that becomes a problem, if you see what I mean. So it can be the
Yeah.
same with anything. So how do you use those coping skills? Same thing with talking with friends. So talking with friends is an amazing coping skill, but sometimes people just cannot stop afterwards, and they feel that as soon as they are a little bit they feel an emotion, or they need to call a friend, otherwise they won't be able to go through what they are living. So again, just seeing how do we use those coping skills? Is it to kind of shut down everything that we're feeling and get the quick relief, or is it kind of a lifestyle? And that's where the mental health is something that we always have. It's just like it's not we can have difficulty periods of difficulty in our life, but it's always there, the health.
Yeah. And I think we've also like talked about a little this, that they can be extenuating circumstances. Oh, well, this happens or this happens that causes you to be stressed. But I think we all have everyday stress, whether it's stress from work, whether you get home and it's just everyday stress, having to plan what you're going to eat in the evening, having to make dinner, having to, if you have children or whatever, look after your loved one, having to call and, remind like someone, or having to keep your social connections up, having to keep, keep care of your physical body, having to go get a haircut, like it, all of the things of just living can feel like too much stress. So I sort of want to challenge everyone, as the whole point of this presentation is about building resilience, about finding ways to cope with everyday life and fostering your well-being. I want you to sort of go through these coping skills. I'm going to just linger on this slide a little longer, go to the next one, and then I've also linked this poster in the references at the end. But I want you to explore maybe a coping mechanism that you don't normally use, but would like to maybe implement in your life, and not as a task that you have to do and check it off your list, but as a way that could actually bring you some respite from everyday overwhelm, whatever that may be. It doesn't have to even be on the list, but something you come up with. Because I think the more skills we have in coping, the better off we are. If you only have one or two coping skills and you go back and forth between them, it might not be enough when additional stresses or additional strain is added to your life. But when you have a myriad of coping skills and so many to choose from, you're better equipped to deal with the everyday stress of life and additional stresses that might come your way. So I'm gonna go to the next one. And like I said, I have some references in the end, which include some books as well. So I will definitely send them to Charity and she can forward them to you all. Is that okay, Charity?
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah. I think like for myself, I'm not really don't really have any coping skills that I would say fall under the spiritual category, and I'm quite interested to sort of try and work harder to explore that way of coping, or some skills that I could use in this category, because I think it does work, it does help. Okay, from here we did the first flinga. It was the same like what's it called, like whiteboard that we used in the beginning. And I had wanted to gauge sort of what was your understanding of mental health at the beginning. And now I want to ask again, has it changed? How is your understanding of mental health different from when we started the presentation? So it's the same link, the flinga link, which is at the top. Would you repost it in the chat, Eliza? Just copy and paste it so people can see it there. And again, for those who joined later, this is anonymous, so just respond with if your perception of mental health has changed since we started this presentation, basically. I forgot someone drew here, and you can select here like something. You can select your color and you can write it in here and then send it. It does look a little bit different on your phone, but it's similar. You press send and then you do the same. So now what do you think of mental health? Has it changed? Is it different? Is it the same? Taken for granted? Not really, but learned something new. That's good. I'm going to put all of our before answers on the right and our after answers on the left. Oop. Anyone else? You guys are already experts, so you didn't even need this.
Maybe could it help if we would add a question? So, what is your understanding of mental health, but also um, without going into the personal, but how do you see its impact? It doesn't have to be on you, but it can be, on your community or in your work, or what do you think is the impact of how does mental health affect um, your surrounding, your environment? If you're thinking about your colleagues or if you're thinking about your community or the world in general.
Oh, I put the question here in the, I don't know if you can see it, Auma. How does mental health affect your surroundings? So I've put it, if you can see my screen, I've put it there.
So, for example, since COVID, there has been. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can see. It affects my stability, concentration, and cooperation with others. That's great. That's an
I'm,
answer in the chat.
I'm gonna put
Yeah.
your answer into the fling
Yeah.
that if that's okay, Auma. I hope I'm saying your name right. If anyone else wants to answer in the chat and not in here, I can, because then this is anonymous, so I can't actually affect everyday life. It makes people isolate and destroys communities.
Absolutely. There's a sense that we're more connected than ever through social media, all kind of social networks, and at the same time, we're more disconnected than ever. The time that we spend just being with others. And in a way, even in events like that, imagine, 6, 7 years ago, we would probably all be in the same room for a workshop like that. And now we're online, and most of us are not going to see the faces of other people. So there is a sense of like we're sharing, we are connected, and on the other, at the same time, completely disconnected because we don't hear the voice and we don't see the face. And so, mentally, like we have to learn what do we do with that. It's such a recent development in the way that we are as human beings.
Yeah. Thank you guys for sharing. I think based on your answers, I think that we can all feel how profound mental health is and how it really is health and it does impact everything. Yeah. I kind of wanted to give you these because we are going to wrap up soon, so then we can do a feedback survey and then take questions. This was also I think Eliza can also expand on this, but this is if you don't remember any of the coping skills or my challenge to explore more coping skills and the sort of categories that they go under. Here's maybe 3 M's is what it's called of things to remember when things are difficult or when you're stressed or overwhelmed. That's meet, make, and move. And meet really stands for the social aspect of things. Meet friends, meet family, meet dogs at the dog park, whatever brings you a joy. Make, it could be make food, make something, make anything, make crafts, do something. Use your hands. Move your body, exercise, walk, sleep, go into, the moving parts, I think is also really important. So this is another good tip I've recently learned that I think is really helpful, this 3 M's. And thank you, Eliza, for giving that. The next part here is if you're not familiar with these resources, I will send this also to Charity so she can share it with you. MIELI has, so not MIELI Without Borders, but MIELI has crisis line support. They have them in English, Finnish, Swedish, Russian, and Ukrainian. But I've only put the English lines here as this presentation was in English, but you can also find the crisis lines on their websites. And the English like lines, actually, I think that the hours here I've written are incorrect. I think that they're only from Fridays from 9 to 1 now. So I would need to update that. But this is for if you're in crisis. There are a couple other crisis lines, but they are also not operating regularly in English. Peer support groups, as we mentioned in the 3 M's, the meet, especially if you're isolated and you don't feel like you have a good support network, meeting people in peer support networks or and organize like low threshold activities where you can just come and doesn't cost anything and be yourself. There's quite a few organizations that organize these types of groups, including MIELI Without Borders, Look on Integration, Familia, MIETI at Latin Latte, and etc. Volunteer. I think one of the parts that we had shown in the mental health definition was to feel like you're doing something good, to feel like you're part of a community. And at least in my own experience, I think volunteer can make you feel you are more than just yourself, or if you're kind of in your head and you're stressed and you're overwhelmed, that volunteering sort of brings you, as Eliza mentioned, like mentioning the blue, it sort of brings you out of your mind and into the body to do something. Awareness and help to self-help. So these are different services and things that they do, like Ohjaamo, work, education, and everyday life guidance. Info Finland is just the website, but it is very helpful with lots of services and life-related issues. Nytti is a Discord for English chat for 18+ students about work, self-care, and mental health. And then Seta ry for LGBTQIA rights in Finland. There's an English site as well. And finally, as you've already been introduced to Eliza, she is offering one-on-one psychological well-being sessions. And as you can see from the screen, and she's also going to, maybe she can share herself about what these sessions entail and what they are for.
Yeah, so these sessions are completely free. And every session basically is a complete experience. It's 40 minutes. And you can come to one session, or you can decide to have, to come back, so it's entirely up to you. And in these sessions, this is not therapy. So it is support. The idea is that I create a safe space and there to listen, to explore. As you have seen, I like to also work with, what's happening in your body. And maybe we do a little bit, a few activities, exercises as well to kind of connect. So it's really practical to get some tools. And I like to see it a little bit like nearly like a gym for the mind, or a yoga session for the mind. So, you might not feel amazing after yoga session, but it's time that you're taking for yourself in a completely safe, private, confidential environment, and you can bring whatever you want. Yeah, so I think there's a link there. I mean, there's a QR code. I'll put the
There's
link.
a QR code. Would you, I
Yeah.
was going to say exactly that, Eliza. Would you put the link?
Yeah.
You can book them via MIELI Without Borders website. You do need to register as a member with MIELI Without Borders in order to take advantage of these free sessions from Eliza. But I plan on doing it myself. I haven't had the time yet, but I would definitely take advantage of this service that's available while it's available. So thank you, Eliza, as well for offering this. And that kind of concludes most of the content. So now is sort of the time for questions, if we have any. You can also write them in the chat if you don't want to open your mics. Oh, come on, give me one question. Thank you, Eliza, for posting the link.
One question only, or two?
Just one. Only one. No, you can have as many as you want, Simon.
Yeah. No, I'm actually quite curious about Eliza's service, because one of the challenges I encounter, especially during my workplace, is many immigrants don't have access to this kind of service. having a chance to discuss, to vent, to though we have peer support group, though we have like discussions, one-to-one discussions, the one that Eliza is offering is not available, or it's quite pricey, or if you go to, let's say, Kella, then it takes a while. Of course, I know that she's not offering therapy, but how can people reach out to you? Like, is it so that they all have to be a member of MIELI Without Borders? Does it
Yeah,
cost?
no, so it doesn't cost anything. To become a member with MIELI Without Borders, you just fill out a form on our website and that's it.
Okay.
There's you will be invoiced maybe 10 euros for the year, depending on to become a member, but that's it. So
Okay.
it is free. I know it's cost free, but you won't be invoiced immediately. You don't have to pay in order to access this service from Eliza. It is short term, but that's another reason why I wanted her to be here today, was because we are aware that this isn't something that is available, especially for the immigrant community in Finland. And not everyone, also, this is maybe not for everybody, right? Because as we mentioned, it's not therapy. It's these sessions to just provide support. Maybe it helps, maybe it doesn't, but it is a service and it is available and it is cost free. So feel free also to share this, Seven, with your community, as like Eliza recently gave a workshop at Lucan as well in January with the Mental Health Mondays. And I think that was the first time she also introduced these sessions that were happening after that. So this is something you can also share with your community. Just encourage them to become members, and then they can access this for free.
Yes,
Thanks a
exactly.
lot.
And it's true that so the difference with the kind of crisis numbers and things like that, so it's completely different. So if you are in crisis, this is not the right service. So as you said, Favan, it is really to have a safe space and to whatever, use it for your well-being. Yeah, I'm glad you see the use for that.
Thank you for the good session. I have to drop out. Okay, see you later, Oma. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Maybe you could even suggest if there's any additional information you'd like to know about. Is there other types of workshops or info sessions that more in depth in a specific topic? Thank you, Johanna. Thank you, Wende. I'm seeing your comments. Before you go, Charity has shared the feedback link. It's in the chat. Yeah, please
Hope,
fill it
can
out.
I
I think
say, yeah.
Yeah, go
Can
ahead,
I say,
Seven.
right, yeah, very quickly, because since you mentioned Lucan as well, MIELI Without Borders has this mental health Mondays. It's once per month at Lucan, at our office in Helsinki. So it would be also good, I think, to tell about that, because you always bring in really interesting conversations about mental health and well-being during those Monday meetings. So maybe good to
Thank you,
promote
Seven.
that also.
Yeah, so exactly as Seven said, we have Mental Health Mondays. We only have 2 left. They're only once a month, and it's the last Monday of the month at Lucan Integration in the center of Helsinki. The last 2 we've had, Eliza had her workshop in January. Tell me, what was I don't remember the name of the workshop that you did, Eliza.
The name was exactly that, Finding Calm in the Storm. So there was a lot around this same idea of grounding, but also we explored like the difference between emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. So yeah.
So really insightful. And then we had a job coach. His name is Matthias Tuxen from Argentina. And this last Monday, just this one that we just passed, he gave a workshop about how relocation shapes your identity, a writing workshop. The Monday that comes after that, so the one in March, is going to be a crochet circle. So I'm not sure if the yarn will be provided. I don't know enough about it right now, but essentially the idea of these Mental Health Mondays is just to gather and talk about whatever we talk about, and to introduce the topics of mental health in a very approachable and culturally appropriate way that There's no therapy, but we just get together, we support each other, we have safe space, and we do whatever we want. So there was a push for instance, a crochet circle. So that's what's the next Mental Health Monday, and then there will be one more in April. So just the way you find out about these is following us on social media. On Instagram, it's MIELI_with_borders. So MIELI Without Borders. And also you can find us on Facebook as well. And then on our website, it's updated regularly to find this information. I think also because we collaborate with Lucon, you can also ask them if you're in touch with Fevin or with Lucon, and also our collaboration with Think Africa is another way. If you're not sure, you can get them in touch with us to talk about these topics, or if there's something you want to know more about, whether it's like how to deal with a specific topic, how to deal with a specific type of stress, or maybe you have some issue that's come up in your life and it's affecting a lot of you, you can approach like us and we can try to find a way to address this, whether it's in a workshop or a presentation like this or something else. Thanks, Evan, for highlighting the Mental Health Mondays. If there's no more questions, I think I just point out again that Charity shared the link for the feedback in the chat. So I think especially because Charity works hard to make these think lounges happen and recruit people to do them. And it's good if you give her the feedback, because then she can know how it's going, what you like, what topics you want to hear about, and if it works, and if she can invite me back or not. So make sure to give her some feedback here.
Thank
All right.
you.
Thank you, Charity. Thank you for inviting us. I don't know if any of you are also involved with the Think Career program. If you don't know what that is, I also give a workshop to those mentees and mentors in the Think Career program as well about well-being while job seeking, and that's specifically targeted to job seekers. But if you know someone or interested in this workshop, feel free to contact me directly through the MIELI Without Borders website, or get in touch with Charity and she can put you in touch with me as well. Okay. Do you want to stop the recording now, Charity? I think
Yes.
no other questions have come.
Okay. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
It was really eye-opening and I learned some new stuff. I normally cope by I am the dark joke. I make dark jokes and I laugh. My parents are not happy about it, but it helps me to snap out of it. So at least there's some more healthy versions I can do where I will not stress my parents. They don't like my jokes. But thank you so much. This was really helpful in this time and season and environment. So it's really vital for us to take care of our mental health and to make sure that we balance everything going around us so that we can be productive in our family, productive in workplaces, and in everyday life. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming and sharing. We do not take it for granted. Also, thank you so much for all the people who joined. Your presence also was noted. Thank you so much.